What's going on, everyone? So, I have been doing a lot of thinking lately, and rewatching, like I normally do, a lot of older Cartoon Network bumpers and promos and commercials, all those good stuff that you guys know that I love, and I know that you guys love. And it didn't really dawn on me, because I guess I had forgot. Cartoon Network had a slogan. Like whenever I would think of Cartoon Network, I never, would think a slogan. If I think anything else, everything else has a memorable slogan. McDonald's, I'm loving it. Burger King, have it your way. Those are the slogans that also come to mind when you think of the company. When I think of Cartoon Network, I don't remember the catchphrase or the slogan that they used to have. And so their slogan was the best place for cartoons. This started in 1992, and it kept going until 2004. The best place for cartoons was a slogan that they used because they were, at the time, they really were the best place on TV that you could find for cartoons. Sure, there was Nickelodeon, and there were, Kids WB. I think Kids WB was on at the time. Anyways, there were places you could get Saturday morning cartoons, but Nickelodeon wasn't 24 hours. None of those other places were 24 hours. They were just Saturday mornings. And not only that, not only was Cartoon Network a place where it was 24 hours of cartoons, but there wasn't a single network on at the time that had that extensive diversity. No one had Cartoon Network's library, because Cartoon Network was lucky enough to be part of Warner Brothers. They had Warner Brothers's and all of Warner Brothers' branches, all their branch companies. Cartoon Network had access to all of those cartoons, so you name it, classic Looney Tunes, every single Hanna-Barbera cartoon you can think of. Then there was all the other stuff, and then they even started to get anime on with Toonami, and it really was excuse me, it really was the best place that there was for cartoons on at the time. And it was more than just early 90s, because that catchphrase continued until 2004. Now, you might be asking, why did it stop? Well, I'll answer your question with their next catchphrase. In 2004 started, as many of you guys know, my favorite era, which is the Cartoon Network City era. It started in 2004, and this was their catchphrase then. You guys probably remember that. At the end of every promo and bumper, you would hear a woman say, "This is Cartoon Network." Why is this important? Why is this important that they're no longer using the slogan, the best place for cartoons, and are now using "This is Cartoon Network"? Here's why that's important. Cartoon Network no longer needed to advertise that they were the best place for cartoons. That was something that no longer needed to be stated or to be bragged upon, because at this point, in 2004, Cartoon Network was on top of the freaking world. They ruled the world in 2004. They were huge. Nobody didn't know who they were. They were the Cartoon Network. They were the network that was the best place for cartoons. They no longer needed to advertise that. They had been advertising that for 12 years. But after being on the network for so long, and after creating so many original programming, as well as the extended library of Warner Brothers action cartoons and classics as like Looney Tunes, and the extensive Hanna-Barbera library, they were the best place for cartoons. Because again, you still had Cartoon Network being 24. Actually, no, I take that back. On Fridays, because Adult Swim had become a thing, they were able to stay 24 hours on Fridays and Fridays only. In fact, I remember distinctly those commercials. It was like right after Adult Swim was gonna. No, it was right after Cartoon Network was ending and Adult Swim was coming on. They would show commercials, just short commercials, being like, "Hey, on this day at this time is when is the last Friday. Cartoon Network will be 24 hours at this day and at this time. Adult Swim will also be coming on Friday nights, and from then on, no more Cartoon Network 24 hours." But see, that's not even, really all that important, but it's just interesting to add. But Cartoon Network, at this point, like I said, on top of the world. They could do basically anything that they wanted to and get away with it. They tried to abuse this power in 2007, I want to say, and they got backfired, but I'll get into that later. Anyways, Cartoon Network City. This is Cartoon Network. They no longer needed to advertise that they were the best place for cartoons because they loved. Okay, if you do anything at all in your life, everyone will tell you something. Like, for example, myself, when I did acting in high school and I do voice acting now. When someone is directing you or is telling you something, I'm sure every one of you has heard this, no matter what you've done, because this can be applied to many different mediums. But when someone tells you, if you don't believe it, or if you don't want it, it shows. If you don't believe it, and if you don't want it, and if you don't know it, it shows to everyone else around you, and it affects you. Like, as an actor, like if you're trying to portray a scene, if you don't 100% believe everything in that scene, it doesn't matter how good of an actor you are, if you don't believe it, it'll show, and everyone else will see that. They'll see it on your face. So, Cartoon Network at this point in 2004 were, like I said, on top of the world, so they loved everything that they did. Every single character on every one of their shows, whether you hated them or not, they loved them. They loved these cartoons, they loved these shows, and you can tell that because they showed them all the time. All the time. And new episode premieres on Friday nights for Cartoon Network Fridays during this era, 2004 to 2006, would get reruns because Friday night was 24 hours. So 7 to, I want to say 10, I think it was 7 to 10 was brand new premieres, and then they would rerun the following 3 hours, and it would end around 1 a.m. And then they would start showing, whatever else they wanted to. And it's just, they could do that. They could do that because they 100% believed in themselves. And the reason why Cartoon Network was so enjoyable for us was because we could see that they cared. We could see that they cared for us, and that they cared about what they were doing. And so they didn't need to broadcast that they were the best place for cartoons anymore. They didn't need to, because they were the best place for cartoons. Now let's fast forward. Remember what I said about Cartoon Network being on top of the world, that they felt like they could do anything? That's true. They really did feel like they could do anything. So they tempted fate, and unfortunately fate fired back. For those of you who remember the bomb scare, yeah, Cartoon Network did believe they could do whatever they wanted to, and they couldn't. So Unfortunately, that bomb scare for Aqua Teen Hunger Force resulted in Jim Samples resigning as Cartoon Network president. And as you all know the story from here. You know, this is where Snyder came in, and then the downfall, and then CN Real. But let's fast forward once again. Let's fast forward to where we are now. And so the topic of the video really is Cartoon Network still the best place for cartoons? The answer is no. The answer is easily no. Because there's so many better places in today's day and age. You can get cartoons. You know, not only do you have places like people upload them to YouTube all the time. Like, you can legitimately find every episode of Ed, Edd n Eddy on YouTube, the full thing. I don't know how they got away with that, but you can find them all on YouTube. But not only there, look at Netflix, Hulu. They have thousands of titles that you can choose from. Cartoon Network is continuing to air the same 5 or 6 shows every single day. And remember what I was saying about CN City? About how they knew they were the best, and they knew that they loved what they were doing, and, you know, it showed? Well, Cartoon Network, I don't think that they do love what they do anymore. I don't think that they do care about the quality of the shows and the programming that they're kicking out, because if they were proud, they would want to show it off, you know? If you win a medal, or if you know, if your son or your child or whatever does something cool, you want to show it off. You know, hey, look what my son did, or hey, you know, look what I did, look what I won, you know. But then you have Cartoon Network with these shows like Regular Show and Adventure Time, Steven Universe, winning all of these awards or being nominated or blah blah blah, and they do nothing with this. Instead, we're continuing to have Teen Titans Go play until the end of time, or we're continuing to have shows like Powerpuff Girls 2016 reboot try to tear down what's left of Cartoon Network. And quite frankly, it's ridiculous how a place where they did nothing. Cartoon Network back in 1992 did nothing but air reruns of 60s shows. They did nothing but air reruns of 60s, 70s, and 80s cartoons. And they grew to be this giant company to the point where they could begin producing their own cartoons. They have their own institution where they make cartoons, the Cartoon Institute. That is Cartoon Network made. Nickelodeon has their Nickelodeon Studios, but it's nothing compared to the Cartoon Institute that's owned by Cartoon Network. And it's the fact that they've devolved into this just big hunk of not giving a shit is I don't want to say sickening, because I mean it's a cartoon channel and I have bigger things in my life to worry about than that, but it's just disappointing, I suppose would be a right word. Disheartening. It's I know you guys feel just as strongly as I do about this, but this is just something I just wanted to talk about, because whenever I watch older Cartoon Network promos, I always see that catchphrase. And so does everybody else, because I see a lot of people commenting on those videos, and they're always like, oh yeah, the best place for cartoons, huh? Best place for cartoons. It used to be. It really used to be. It was. It was the best place for cartoons. and you can't even say that it's a shell of its former self anymore. You can't even say that it's a shell of its former self. You can't. It's not even a shell. It's not even a shell. It's not even a part of the same branch anymore. It's a hollow. It's this hollow thing, you know. Cartoon Network back in the day, you could tell it was alive. You know, you could tell it was this thing that cared about what it did, and cared about the kids' lives that it improved just by being on TV. But nowadays, you just have this hollow, lifeless network that just pumps out whatever. And if you like it, they don't care. If you don't like it, they don't care. You know, and it's sad. It's sad because we grew up with this thing that cared. But now you just got this thick, lifeless company now. You know, there's so many people who comment on a lot of my videos, and I say this all the time. I used to say all the time that Cartoon Network doesn't care. But then I started, you know, taking business classes, and I started thinking about things in business-wise. And I started thinking, like, well, they have to care. If they didn't care, they wouldn't make a profit. You have to care. Because if you don't care, then you're going to churn out something that's just going to be crap, and no one's going to like it. So you have to care, right? But we keep getting lifeless cartoon after... And I'm mainly talking about the 2016 Powerpuff Girls reboot, because Steven Universe isn't lifeless. Regular show's not lifeless. But the company is lifeless because they don't... You guys know what I'm getting at. They don't want to promote these shows, or they don't want to do anything. They have this whole library, guys. They have this whole library of cartoons, and they're refusing to show any of it. That would be like if you went to the library, like you had your library card, and you went to the library every single day, and instead of reading something different, you get the same... You cycle, every day you go, you cycle in between the books, you get the same 5 or 6 books every time. You've got a whole library to choose from. You get the same 5 or 6 books every time. It's boring. It's boring, and no one cares. I don't know. This is just some more late night ramblings from me. Anyways, comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys want to be in remembrance with me and watch some older Cartoon Network promos, link some of your favorites down in the comments. If you guys have made it this far, I know this is a long video, but if you guys have made it this far, you know, go ahead and link your stuff down below, your favorite promos or whatever. I'll check them out, because I love classic Cartoon Network stuff. I watch that stuff every now and again. I don't watch it as much as I used to, but you know, I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed me rambling for 20 minutes. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.